It's Antifa. You can't compare ICE agents to Nazis. That's completely unacceptable. All this stuff, right? Vice President J.D. Vance, meanwhile, says, we know that this person was politically motivated, pointing both to the inscriptions and some evidence we have that's not yet public. On the off chance the wasn't what it looked like, I reached out to people who knew the gunman, 29-year-old Joshua John, 3 who knew him since at least middle school and agreed to speak to me on the condition that I not name them. Anyway, so much to cover, so much going on in the world. Obviously, we got the FBI motives and FBI narratives that were undermined last night by Ken Klippenstein's fantastic reporting on the background of the shooter, the anti-ICE shooter, right? First and foremost, remember when Russia tried to stage a photo of a Ukrainian assassin's hideout and instead of SIM cards, they posted copies of The Sims? Yeah, this is just like, this is so bad that it made the libs go, I don't really believe this. Like, it even made the libs go, seems weird, right? Like, and I don't know if it's because they're just incompetent. Like, what is this? Like, what? I don't know. It just seems so crazy. It seems like, if they said ICE is not poggers, that would make more sense, dude, than anti-ICE on the bullet, you know? The backside says a leftist did this, Lamau. Wait. FBI Dallas and FBI headquarters have been working 24/7 to seize devices, exploit data, and process writings obtained on location in the subject's person residence bedroom. This FBI is committed to providing timely updates as promised. The perp downloaded a document titled Dallas County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management containing a list of DHS facilities. He conducted multiple searches of ballistics and the Charlie Kirk shot video between 9:23 and 9:24. Between 8:19 and 8:24, he searched apps that track the presence of ICE agents. One of the handwritten notes recovered read, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think. Is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? Further accumulated evidence to this points to indicated high degree of pre-attack planning. The FBI will provide further updates when able. So yeah, they're trying to tie this to like the ICE tracker apps. You know, like all of the grassroots mobilization against like ICE presence, like they're going to make that illegal too, I think. And I suspect they'll also simultaneously be like, yeah, not only do we have to make sure that these like grassroots ICE tracker apps are totally illegal because this person used it clearly, that all leftist organizing is illegal as well. And every neo-lib tweeter below doesn't buy it. Yeah, no, I do like that the liberals, even liberals who normally would be totally reliant on government, like official organs of the government saying anything really, have looked at this and been like, nah, this doesn't make a lot of sense. But there's obviously a little bit more information that is now readily available to us. Shouts out to Ken Leakenstein, as always, for doing fantastic reporting. He went and he got anonymously interviewed some of the friends, like the lifelong friends, really, of the shooter. And he revealed that the ways FBI has concocted this like left-wing anti-fascist terrorism narrative is not great. Joseph K. Young says, ascribing motive to politically violent people is hard when they don't leave a manifesto. We should all pause and do some research and or read things like this, where someone tries to figure out the motive by actually talking to people. Exclusive, the ICE shooter's politics. Joshua John's friends speak. The deadly sniper attack on a Dallas ICE facility this morning seems straightforward, with anti-ICE engraved on the unspent shell casing recovered from the scene, per the FBI. But after interviewing several of the alleged shooter's former friends, the picture isn't so clear. Within minutes of the FBI director, Kash Patel posted on X, while the investigation is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind this attack. See photo below. Now, what's crazy about it is, like, I need you guys to understand something. The FBI should not be doing this for two different reasons. One, in this circumstance, the investigation is irrelevant, really, because, like, the shooter died, right? He killed himself. But in situations where there's an ongoing court case, you're not supposed to taint the evidence by immediately coming out in public and creating a narrative framing around the situation. That's not something you can do. That's not something you should be doing in general, okay? But another societal, the other societal impact of the FBI doing this like very clearly biased immediate evidence farming is making people less reliant on the FBI as a reasonable actor, okay? This is genuinely a problem. If you believe that we have to be a nation of rules and laws, and you have to have like at least some commitment to these institutions that are going to be infallible to a certain degree, they're going to abide by an incredibly high standard when they're doing these sorts of investigations. Like, you can't be doing shit like this. I hate to sound like a liberal, but this is a ridiculous thing to do. You can't be running around and being like, this is a bad guy, and I found out exactly what their biases are, and I'll have you know, it might come as a surprise, but the shooter was exactly the opposite of my worldview and was very clearly acting out in all of the groups that I want to silence and suppress. You can't do that. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. Like, can you imagine after like a million different investigations that have been conducted to like right-wing political violence, like Joe Biden coming out and being like, guys, listen, I don't normally do this. I'm not even going to look at the manifesto. I'm just going to come out and be like, that's a right-wing guy. That's a right-wing guy. Bet you he's a Ben Shapiro fan. We got to start taking care of these Ben Shapiro style content creators. Like, that would be insane. And then having the FBI reveal this information immediately without any sort of serious investigation being conducted into the matter. So it's even worse when there is, it's even worse in the Tyler Robinson case because the shooter is not dead. So there is not only an investigation that will be conducted, but also a court case that will happen in the aftermath of this, right? You can't do this with Luigi Mangione in the way that the law enforcement agencies and people in positions of power have done. This actually taints the jury pool. This is like you're biasing, you're creating an environment, a narrative bias before due process takes place. It's grounds for a mistrial. Like, what the fuck are we doing? This is so ridiculous. Obviously, it's not going to happen, right? Given the severity of the crime, it's never going to happen. But like, under normal circumstances, that is unironically what would take place. Okay? Being in this administration just feels like a race to the bottom. Everyone is trying to get out their Twitter posts as fast as possible for clout. Literally an administration of influence. I know. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that, little baby. If you want the FBI to be like a serious institution that people still respect, you can't be doing that. Get Kash Patel out of there, man. What the hell? President Trump responded to the by blaming the radical left, vowing to sign another executive order to dismantle what he called domestic terror networks. This comes at the heels of another executive order he signed this week, designating Antifa a domestic terrorist organization, as I previously reported. I have been briefed on the deadly shooting. We already read this yesterday, but he said, I've been briefed on the deadly shooting. It's Antifa. You can't compare ICE agents to Nazis. That's completely unacceptable. All this stuff, right? Vice President J.D. Vance, meanwhile, says, we know that this person was politically motivated, pointing both to the inscriptions and some evidence we have that's not yet public. On the off chance the shooting wasn't what it looked like, I reached out to people who knew the gunman, 29-year-old Joshua John, 3 who knew him since at least middle school and agreed to speak to me on the condition that I not name them, corroborating their friendship with photos and other records. Their accounts paint the picture of someone with a vaguely libertarian bent who despised both major parties and politicians generally, including Trump, but who didn't engage with politics beyond that. He preferred edgy humor, video games, and the message board 4chan, all of which he became increasingly steeped in as he withdrew from social life, as well as their own friendships several years ago, they said. None of his former friends believed the anti-ICE inscription could possibly be sincere, feeling such a serious political statement was anathema to who John was. His humor was deeply ironic, often offensive, and aggressive to the point of alienation. Okay? So, classic leftist site 4chan, before you say classic leftist site 4chan, there are leftists who are on 4chan as well, okay? That's true. It's not just right-wingers, even though it's most famous for right-wingers, and the likelihood that you're a right-winger if you're on poll, especially you're most likely a right-winger, but that doesn't mean that there aren't leftists on 4chan, okay? Just remember that. Weren't you a 4chaner? No, I was not. What the He was most certainly an edgelord, an irony guy, one friend said. Edgelord is online speak for someone who doesn't like, who likes to espouse edgy nihilistic views. Asked about the inscription on the bullet, the friend said, Josh was an edgelord who wanted someone to get blamed. I think he tried his best to write something goofy to rile people up. Another friend showed me a Facebook post describing how John had flooded his friend's comment section with rape jokes. Playful shock humor, the friend said. Insane. Hey, man, that's just playful shock humor. FBI update is live.
Over to Acting U.S. Attorney Nancy Larson.
All right, we'll get to the FBI update, and then we'll get back to King Clip and Science.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. This is the third time in my short 4-month tenure as the acting United States Attorney for this district where we have suffered violent attacks and threats at ICE facilities. First, you'll recall July 4th, 2024, the violent attack on the Prairieland facility in Alvarado, Texas. The second occurred on August 25th, 2024, when Bratton Dean Wilkinson, who stands charged by federal complaint, pretended to have a bomb. He showed up at the ICE facility with a backpack and something that looked like a on his wrist and threatened the facility. Third, of course, is yesterday's attack, September 24th, 2025, when the Dallas ICE facility was riddled with gunfire, costing the life of one detainee and injuring 2 other detainees critically. Initially, I want to commend the cooperation of the Dallas Police Department, the Dallas County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, the ATF, ICE, and HSI for the decisive response to this crime. Members of these agencies quickly secured the scene and the evidence and worked tirelessly to determine any continuing threat. Due to their efforts, it did not take long to ascertain the identity of the shooter, who was deceased by a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and that he very likely acted alone. His name is Joshua Yan, 29, of Fairview, Texas. Let me just review a very brief summary of the timeline of yesterday's attack. We believe at some point around 3 o'clock in the morning that the suspect was seen driving on footage with a large ladder on his car. And we believe that that is what he used to position himself on top of the building. The shooting itself started at approximately 6:30 a.m. After the shooting started, Dallas Police Department arrived en masse, secured the scene. Law enforcement officers found the sniper dead. They found bullets on the rooftop, one of which was labeled with the words anti-ICE. That morning, gunshots sprayed the length of the building, the windows, and law enforcement vans that were in the Sallyport area. Detainees were struck by these bullets. 1 was killed, 2 were wounded, and both of them are undergoing treatment. Shortly thereafter, the FBI began its meticulous work at the crime scene. At the same time, we obtained and executed multiple search warrants yesterday for devices and locations associated with the sniper. FBI agents executed a search warrant at the sniper's residence yesterday, and there found a collection of notes. First, I want to point out that one of these notes or papers, the sniper explicitly states, yes, it was just me. That statement appears to be correct at this point in the investigation. Notably, these loose notes included a game plan of the attack and target areas at the facility. He called the ICE employees people showing up to collect a dirty paycheck. He wrote that he intended to maximize lethality against ICE personnel and to maximize property damage at the facility. He hoped to minimize any collateral damage
What the hell? That was a crazy F. Hello, I'm back. I'm
or
here.
injury to the
That was
detainees
crazy.
and
What
any
happened?
other innocent people. It seems that he did not intend to kill the detainees or harm them. It's clear from these notes that he was targeting ICE agents and ICE personnel.
It's weird. There's something weird is taking place. My bit rate dropped.
Sallyport. He also
But I'm
hoped
here
his
still.
actions would give ICE agents real terror of being gunned down, and he did this to induce constant stress in their lives. He hoped his actions would terrorize ICE employees and interfere with their work, which he called human trafficking. And this, what he did, is the very definition of terrorism. Again, his notes reveal, yes, it was just me and my brain. And he said, good luck with the digital footprint. And of course, we take this to mean that he deleted evidence from his devices. His words were definitively anti-ICE. That said, we did not find evidence of membership in any specific group or entity. Nor did he mention any specific government agency other than ICE. Among his papers,
But that's not going to stop us from being like, this is Antifa.
In which, in crude words, he expressed his hatred for the federal government. Finally, I want to address the heroism of our federal agents yesterday. While under fire, ICE agents and ATF agents, who were also present in the facility's Sallyport area, work together to remove detainees
Fix
from
the
the
ingest,
van
you're 45
and
to
get
50
them
seconds
to
behind. No,
safety
you are.
while the bullets
There's no
were
fixing the
flying.
ingest now for me.
These agents
I'm going
were
direct
heroic,
to Twitch.
clearly willing to lay down their lives to save the lives of the detainees in their custody. And that's an extremely important point to make at this point in time. I want to express my deepest appreciation for the bravery of these law enforcement officers yesterday and every single day that they go out there to keep us safe. I'll now turn it over to FBI Special Agent in charge of the Dallas field office,
Damn,
Joe
bro.
Rothrock.
I mean, that's
Thank
not going to stop him. That's not going to stop him from being like, this is a classic case of Antifa
Good afternoon.
terrorism. Classic
First, I'd like to
case.
start by thanking our acting United States Attorney, Nancy Larson, and her office for their support during this investigation. My name is Joe Rothrock, and I'm the Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Dallas field office. Yesterday morning, Joshua Yan carried out a targeted, ambush-style attack on law enforcement. Today, I will provide you with some updates of what we've learned through our investigation to date, to include Jan's own words in his handwritten notes. Jan specifically intended to kill ICE agents. He fired at transport vehicles carrying ICE personnel, federal agents, and detainees. He also fired multiple shots into the windows of the office building where numerous ICE employees do their jobs every day. We now know that Jan engaged in significant high degree of pre-attack planning. He searched for information about the office building and how to track ICE agents' locations.
Yeah, they're using
Jan
this.
also acknowledged the
They're
potential
going to use this to go
for
after
other
the app,
casualties.
the app that like tracks
He knew
ICE
with
activity.
a high likelihood, ICE detainees would be transported that morning in the exact location where he was facing from his perch on a nearby rooftop. Jan's attack did in fact result in the tragic death of one detainee and the injury to two other detainees. We have been able to confirm that Jan legally obtained an 8mm bolt-action rifle he used in the shooting in August of this year. Based on our investigation to date, we believe Jan acted alone, but I'll stress our investigation continues. This attack yet again underscores the dangers that law enforcement face daily. We continue to see an increased threats against law enforcement. This is the second attack in recent months on ICE facilities here in North Texas. I do want to take this opportunity to thank our law enforcement partners, some of whom are here with us today. When Jan began firing, agents from both ICE and the ATF put themselves in the line of fire to move individuals off the transportation vehicles in an attempt to protect and rescue those that were injured. I want to thank them for their bravery. The
So
Dallas
they could be
Police
subsequently
Department and the Dallas
deported
County
to
Sheriff's
El
Office
Salvador.
also quickly responded to the scene without any hesitation and ran towards danger. Ultimately, they located the shooter, who was deceased by an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. I want to thank them for their prompt response and dedication to protecting and serving their communities. I also want to thank our partners that have assisted in this investigation, the Fairview Police Department, as well as our partners in Oklahoma, to include Bryant County Sheriff's Department, Durant Police Department, and Choctaw Nation Light Horse Police, as well as our personnel from San Antonio and Oklahoma City within the FBI that assisted. The FBI has dedicated its entire breadth of resources to ensure this investigation is completed thoroughly. The FBI stands with our law enforcement partners, and today we express that the attacks against law enforcement officers will not be tolerated. While we believe Jan acted alone, we are still asking that anyone with information about Jan or his activities report that to the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or at www.fbi.gov/Dallas ERO shooting. And with that, I will turn it over to Director Charles.
Good afternoon. My name is Marcos Charles. I am the ICE Executive Associate Director for Enforcement and Removal Operations. The attack on ICE's Dallas field office yesterday was tragic. And while our hearts and prayers are with the family of the detainees who were shot, the evidence is clear that this was intended as an assault on ICE personnel who come to work every day to do their job. Violent rhetoric has led to over 1,000% increase in assaults on ICE officers, and it has to stop.
Oh, my Lord.
In contrast to those who would demonize our men and women,
I'm telling you,
yesterday
they're
our
going to make
brave
it
officers
illegal
ran
to
back
hurt
into
the
danger,
feelings
along with
of
ATF,
cops
our
and
partners,
ICE officers.
to save the detainees while shots were still being fired.
It's crazy.
Those ICE officers just showed the world who they really are. Law enforcement officers who want the best for our country. That's
First
ICE.
and foremost,
Integrity, courage, excellence.
talking too much about the
They were
humanity
willing
of the
to put their
detainees
lives on the line
is an
to pull
own goal
detainees
here.
out of the transport van to get them to safety. They are heroes, and I hope the media has the integrity to shine a light on this story. Enough is enough with the harmful lies and violent rhetoric. It has to stop. The shooter used the ICE tracking apps.
Hassan, aka
Anyone
Andy,
who creates
bro.
or distributes these
Free
apps
you, Gen Alpha,
that is
ain't
designed
fuck
to
with you,
spot,
big
track,
bro.
and
They
locate
all
ICE
watching Mafia
officers are
time.
well aware of the dangers
I
that
love
they are
when the
exposing
dude
to
is
law
like
enforcement.
38 years old, but then
It's a
talks
casting
like this
call
in
to
the
invite
chat.
bad actors to attack law enforcement officers. It's no different than giving
That's
a
true,
hitman the
bruh.
location of their intended target, and this is exactly what we saw happen in Dallas yesterday. The media has been amplifying these apps even as we warned them it would only lead to more attacks on law enforcement. We truly wish we didn't
He
have
blamed
to
the
say,
ICE
I
app.
told you so.
He blamed the
But here we
anti-ICE
are.
statements. They
ICE
want to
continues
stamp
prioritize
out
the safety
discontent. This
and
is not about
security
like
of our personnel, detained aliens.
they
and
are going to
facilities.
find a
We will do
just
everything
cause
possible to
in their
increase
minds, or
security
they're trying to develop a
to
just
counter
cause in their
the
minds
wave of these
to
legal
do
attacks.
free speech restrictions, the likes you've never seen or even can comprehend.
Foment violence and vilify our law enforcement officers to cease the dangerous rhetoric. We also call on law-abiding Americans everywhere to report any suspicious activity. The individual that was out there yesterday shooting at our agents and our officers was trying to take the lives of law enforcement people doing their job. Instead, he killed a detainee and shot 2 others. That is something that's unacceptable. The rhetoric that's out there on social media, the rhetoric that is being said by some community leaders in other states needs to stop. There's been an increase in violence against ICE agents, not only in Texas and Dallas, but across the country in violent protests. Again, I ask everybody to just stop. Thank you.
So we're going to open it up to questions now. So if you have a question, we'll direct it to the appropriate person. You're first up.
Sean Murphy with the Associated Press. Can you tell an estimate of how many shots were fired and how he was able to get those off so quickly with the bolt action rifle?
Yeah, so how I'll answer that at this point, again, I'll just remind you, this is an ongoing investigation. The ICE facility, the ICE office, really, it is a business office. This is where business is done on a daily basis by our partners at ICE. That is still an active crime scene. We still have personnel out there. As I mentioned earlier in my remarks, we brought in Oklahoma City, obviously our own FBI resources here in Dallas, as well as folks from our lab, because we are going to do a thorough and exhaustive investigation and make sure that we have a full accounting of all the evidence that's at that scene. Again, those efforts are ongoing at this time. I'm going to go here real quick.
Thank you. Can you talk to us more about the detainees in the van? Were they transported to Alvarado, Texas, and what happened to them?
So you're referring to the detainees that were not injured?
Correct.
Yeah.
And if you could give us an update on the ones that are injured, identities, nationalities.
So I won't be providing any updates at this time on the identities of the detainees that were injured. ICE has a process from notifications to consulate and to next of kin. That process is ongoing, and so we'll defer to our ICE counterparts at some point to determine when it's the right time to release that information. The other detainees remain safe. They are victims as well of this violent crime, and they are people that we are actively interviewing as part of our investigation. Right here to the front.
Matt Kyle, Dallas Morning News. Ms. Larson had referenced anti-government, anti-federal government statements that Mr. Yan had made. Is there any more information y'all can release about what exactly was in those writings?
The clearest motivation for this attack are his own words. In his handwritten notes, he says...
Bro, I'm sorry. There's something so stupid about being like, they're using the ICE app to target ICE agents, and then the dude that shot detainees shot them outside of an ICE facility. Do you think he needed the ICE app to know where the ICE agents were? He was sniping at a fucking ICE detention facility. What are we talking about, man?
We know that he obtained the firearm in August. We also know that he was looking at a number of DHS facilities, and he
it's
had
like
downloaded
demanding
that
we ban
information.
Google
He was
Maps
looking at
because
the apps
Google
as my
Maps
counterpart
shows
mentioned
where
some
the
of
ICE
these
detention
agencies. So
facility is.
This was not
What the
something that
fuck?
just occurred yesterday. It came to a conclusion yesterday, but this is something months in the making.
Priscilla Thompson with NBC Network News. From what we have heard, this person was not particularly political. Was there anything that you all have found in terms of an inciting incident that led him to commit this attack?
Unfortunately, the challenge with these mass casualty incidents is people can be motivated to violence by any number of grievances. In this case, the clearest
I think it
indication
just-
of words,
no, I
he
saw
wanted
the
to cause
footage.
terror. He wanted
You
to
can see
he
with their
wanted to
own
harm
two
ICE
eyes. It's like,
personnel.
says Department of Homeland Security.
Echo Latino Radio. The deceased shooter, did he have a relation with somebody who had been detained by ICE or mistreated by ICE for him to act this way?
Again, the clearest motivations at this point are the harm he wanted to cause to ICE. We're not aware of any specific relationships he had with anybody in detention. But again, our investigation's ongoing. We're going to unturn every stone here. And so that continues. Sir.
Omar Villafranca with CBS News. Secretary Noem has asked for increased security at ICE facilities across the country. Can you say what is going to be done to harden these facilities to protect agents and detainees?
So I cannot say what will be done by.
Oh my
by our-
God, incredible! They're gonna be like, we have to operate as black sites. Make it even crazier. Make this system even more unjustifiable and mysterious. You know, oh, sorry. In the interest of defending our big, beautiful soldiers here, we have to also completely eradicate due process. You know, they can just come into your house. They don't have to ever declare that they're members of law enforcement, by the way. We can't do oversight because that's also harmful to them engaging in this sort of conduct. And also, they can just operate outside of black sites now. Fantastic.
I don't want to give away any operational security as to how
I'm
we're going to
telling
be
you
doing
right
that.
now, man. I'm telling you
There-
right
there are
now.
plans
This is
to
where we're
work
heading
with our
down. It's
facilities.
not. This is real. It's happening in real time in front of our eyes. They are trying to develop a just cause to be able to do all of this stuff.
Mr. Yan was not an immigrant. He was a United States citizen. He was here legally. I won't be going into the details on anybody other than Mr. Yan at this time. Ma'am.
You talked a little bit about the ICE agents, or the agents that were there at the location that helped him once shots were beginning to fire. Can you give us some more perspective on what the situation was with the detainees that were in the vans?
Were they handcuffed? Were they shackled? Why weren't they able to get out of the vehicle by themselves?
Again, these were individuals that were detained by law enforcement. There were multiple transport vehicles at the facility at that time. Again, what I would stress at this point is under gunfire,
Yeah, the guy
multiple
that
federal agents
shot at the ICE van
ran into
at the
that
ICE
fire to
facility,
remove
killed
these
himself.
individuals and to attempt to render life-saving aid under the most dire circumstances.
Just for clarity, they were restrained.
They were being, the individuals in the vans were being strained. It's a proper procedure for transport. The individuals that are brave men and women that went out there to go help and rescue were the ones that were injured and could not leave the van on their own.
And we know that that's common, because we've seen obviously transports before, so we just wanted clarity to understand why they weren't able to leave on their own.
The other individuals that were in the van were able to leave on their own. It was the ones that were injured were unable to exit the vehicle. Sir, you, yeah.
Have you guys gotten any cooperation from the suspect's family and this idea that the anti-government, federal government attitude for her? Have any family members expressed any signs that we knew that this was happening, or was this just all kept?
Back to you, sir.
As is common in these investigations of mass casualty incidents, we are going to interview everybody we can identify that might have information about the motivations or who might have information about the pre-planning or who may have assisted in this attack. I won't be outlining every interview we conducted today, but we will be doing a thorough investigation. And again, one of the reasons we asked for additional information for the public is if there are those out there that had contact with Jan, we would like to hear from them, and we would like to gain an understanding of what their relationship was. I won't be going into details about other aspects of the investigation.
Larry on WFAA. Can you expand on why you believe that he acted alone here, and can you go into it all, any activity he may have?
Why is the FBI protecting ICE here? What do you mean? They're all a part of the same federal apparatus of law enforcement. What? Of course they're going to protect ICE. What are you talking about?
So again,
especially now more than ever, the federal mechanisms of law enforcement are completely at the direction of the president's. Completely at the direction of the presidency. They don't care about anything. Like there's never been more of an overt attempt to bias investigations, to go along with the needs and the demands of the administration. Like it's just.
What will happen in the coming days with that facility? Are there detainees being held there?
It's all straight up at the mercy.
It is going to remain an
the
active
whims
crime
of a
scene for
madman.
some time. Again, we will be there as long as it takes to make sure that we've captured every piece of physical evidence.
Emma Ruby with the Dallas Observer. You mentioned the one bullet that was found with kind of ideological writing on it. Have any of the bullets found around the scene had any writing on them, or is it just the one?
Again, active crime scene. We're still collecting physical evidence.
Jim Schultz with ABC News. Around the crime scene, when this car was actually being towed, there was some writings on that vehicle. Can you give us a sense about what those were and how they play into your investigation?
So the vehicle was searched as part of our investigation. I don't have additional details to share with you now about any writings, but certainly if we have updates, we'll provide those in the future. Ma'am.
Ashley Killer with CNN. Y'all mentioned that he used a ladder to position himself. Did he use the ladder to get on top of the roof, or is that where he?
Yeah,
Is that where his body was found?
He was found on top of a neighboring roof. We believe he used the ladder to access that roof. Sir.
David with Fox News Channel. Was suicide part of his plan all along, or was he cornered by law enforcement?
His handwritten notes indicate that he did not expect to survive this event. Sir.
Kevin Reese, WFAA. A personal question, if you would dare. Can you explain to people in this climate what it's like to be an ICE agent right now?
As I had said, the ICE officers that are out there right now, you've seen them in multiple times on the news. They're out there doing their job with courage and honor. Yes, there is a heightened sense.
Again, we will never talk about what their job entails. Their job is to literally go out in the streets, wear masks, and violently apprehend and kidnap random fucking Americans or people working on U.S. soil. Okay? many of which they apprehend at the point of their court appointment. Like, these are people who are playing the legal game that has been designed to fuck them over. They're going to their job sites and they are apprehending them. They have guns, they have masks on, they come out of unmarked vehicles. It is totally ridiculous that these guys will just be like, oh, they're just doing their jobs. They're just doing their jobs. Yeah, a slave catcher was doing his job, you know? The Gestapo was doing their job. Some jobs are unjustifiable. I'm not even in the business of saying that there is no reason for federal law enforcement to exist. Obviously, I'm not, I understand the necessity for an organized unit that is supposed to abide by certain principles. Okay, I get it. Having said that, when we're talking about ICE, simply saying it's just a job is ridiculous. Like, the job is quite literally to mass apprehend innocent people, declare them criminals, and punish them severely for the crime that is, under different circumstances, considered a civil offense.